aquí los ritmos son diferentes en España, ¿no? Y seguro que seguirá llegando gente, no pasa nada. Vamos a ir empezando. Entonces, bueno, mi nombre es Miguel Fernández Gil, soy el responsable de Adform en España. Y nada, lo primero, pues daros muchísimas gracias por haber venido a este evento. Hacía tiempo que no nos reuníamos y bueno, ya era hora que nos viésemos un poco todos y poderos contar pues algunas de las novedades, sobre todo del producto pues más estratégico de la compañía, que es toda la parte de programática, de la compra programática, de la parte del DSP, de la parte del DMP, etcétera, etcétera, ¿no? Eso, os quería agradecer que hayáis venido, también agradeceros el que muchos de vosotros como clientes, sobre todo que estáis aquí, agencias y demás, os habéis confiado en nosotros. Nosotros somos lo que somos gracias obviamente a todos vosotros, ¿vale? Llevamos ya 4 años en la compañía en España. Yo empecé hace 4 años trabajando desde un PIPS, teniendo reuniones en cafeterías y demás, y bueno, pues la verdad es que ahora tenemos una compañía en la que hemos ido doblando año a año la facturación, ¿vale? Estamos en unas cifras bastante importantes y todo ha sido gracias efectivamente a la confianza que nos habéis dado y también al equipo, ¿no? La verdad que tengo la suerte de tener un equipo estupendo, de súper buenos profesionales y que, pues bueno, que vosotros, muchos de los que trabajáis con ellos, pues sabéis que es gente muy cercana y el servicio al final, aparte de que la tecnología sea muy importante en toda la actividad nuestra, pues es muy importante tener un servicio cercano y un buen servicio, ¿no? Entonces, pues nada, quería agradecer también a todo el equipo que están por aquí. Somos ya 12 personas en España como equipo local y a nivel internacional pues tenemos también un equipo dedicado pues en torno a un mismo número de personas y luego de diferentes departamentos. Luego Jesper os va a dar más información de cómo ha crecido la empresa y demás, ¿no? Nosotros tenemos lo que nos definimos nosotros como compañía es que somos la única tecnología o una de las pocas tecnologías que ofrecemos toda una solución tecnológica para poder medir cualquier tipo de actividad online, ¿vale? Y sobre todo también como para poder realizar todo tipo de compra por la parte de la compra programática y demás, ¿no? Es un poco lo que nos diferencia. Tenemos una plataforma que desde un único acceso pues podemos medir cualquier actividad de vuestros clientes y de vuestras campañas, ¿vale? Pero bueno, hoy sobre todo hemos venido a hablar el evento sobre compra programática, sobre la parte de real time bidding, ¿vale? Que obviamente es hacia donde va a evolucionar toda la tecnología y obviamente toda la compra de medios y todos los medios en general, ¿no? La evolución de la compra de medios va a ir tendiendo a hacerse cada vez más de forma programática y con tecnología, ¿no? Entonces, para ello hoy tenemos a Jesper Urban, que es el director de producto de toda la parte de programática, ¿vale? Que viene de Copenhague. La empresa, como sabéis, es una empresa danesa, aunque tenemos ya oficinas en todo el mundo, ¿vale? Y él es un poco el responsable de todos los nuevos desarrollos que se están realizando en toda la parte de compra programática, que es muy bien. Él va a hacer una presentación en torno a unos 30-35 minutos. Luego tenemos una sesión de preguntas que lo que queréis preguntar en inglés, si queréis hacerlo en español os traducimos y él nos responde. Y luego lo que vamos a tener es un poco el plato fuerte de hoy, vamos a tener una mesa redonda con gente pues muy reconocida, primeros espadas, ¿no? Como digo yo, de la publicidad online, de agencia, de trading desk, de la parte de datos, de la parte de publishers también y demás. Y ahí pues eso, vamos a estar como una hora en la que yo voy a intentar pues hacer una serie de preguntas, pero me encantaría que fueseis vosotros los que preguntaseis directamente, porque es gente muy interesante y yo creo que ya que les tenemos aquí pues merece la pena, ¿no? Y luego pues lo más importante de todo, que es a lo que hemos venido todos, a tomarnos unas cervezas y y un poco de jamón y demás, que es lo que tendremos luego, ¿vale? O sea que nada, yo espero que esto sea lo más abierto posible dentro del formato que tenemos y demás, cualquier pregunta que tengáis y eso, y espero que lo disfrutéis. Muchísimas gracias. Os paso ahora
All right, good morning. My name is Jesper. I'm VP Product in Adform, and I'm responsible for our RTB platform. So it's amazing to see so many people, so thank you for coming today, and I hope we get a very good day. First of all, any questions, just shoot, and you can do it in Spanish, and I'm sure Miguel can translate. So the agenda I've prepared today. So first of all, I'm a product person. I'm not a salesperson, so everything I say today you can trust it. So the agenda today, and I hope you'll find this interesting. So I'll be talking about the major trends in our industry. I'll be talking about automated guarantee, because this is one of the big topics for this year. Data management platforms, also want to talk about that, because that will become very interesting for the future, and maybe more important than DSPs actually. Then fraud. So fraud is something I think we're all concerned about. I just want to give an update on what we are doing in this area. And then last but not least, some information about ad blocking and what we do to combat ad blocking. So let me just time this a little bit so we don't go totally over. Just a short introduction to Adform. So Adform is a private company. We are founded in 2002 in Copenhagen. You can say, compared to many of our American competitors, we never really took in any investment, so we have been basically growing organically over the years. I joined in 2011. That time we were less than 100 people. Today we are 600, and actually 650. So it's been a pretty amazing journey. We have 16 offices across Europe and in America. We have many advertisers, which is good news. More than 6,000 advertisers on our platform, 700 agencies, and 200 publishers, our client base. So again, I joined here, and you can see it's been going pretty good since. It's not all my, of course, my fault, but basically in 2011 I got into the company and we started working on our DSP platform. And you can see since then we have been innovating and building technology not only for agencies and advertisers, but also building technology for publishers. 2012 we launched our private marketplace, which is very comparable to an SSP. In 2013 we started combining rich media with the whole DSP world, because we wanted to go into a US market. In 14 last year we released our DMP, and in 15 we have, or this year we have been releasing our programmatic publisher. So I think this just tells a story about a company. We are a tech company and we love building technology, as you can see. So we have a very big technology stack. We have our technology in a global infrastructure, so we have a big server farm in Hong Kong, of course in Europe and in US, and we are also able to actually serve campaigns in Latin. So just a quick note on what we deliver today. So one of the differences with Adform compared to other, I would say, tech companies is that we also have a very strong proposition in creativity and branding solutions. So many tech companies just build tech platforms, but we actually have a pretty strong team also working on branding solutions. Our overall proposition is that we want to be a company that are able to run campaigns across any screen, across any device and any format. And that is, of course, the big challenge today, that the users we are trying to communicate with are in many different devices. So this was actually the slide about brand solution. I messed it up a little bit. But just to say again, we have a team who are able to take the whole creative process from an idea of building a campaign to actually executing that. So again, that is a unique part of our company, that we are not only delivering tech, we are also able to handle the creative process of building premium formats. A little bit about where we are different, because if we look at some of the platforms who deliver DSPs today, you can say standard DSPs, these companies are typically taking their supply from SSPs, exchanges, and able to run IMB branding units, some simple formats. Then we have seen a new type of companies delivering automated guarantees, and I'll get back to that. But these are typically companies who are able to monitor or able to run reserved IO-based inventory using a lot of nice formats. So in Adform, we are basically combining these two elements in our stack, meaning that we have automated guaranteed private marketplaces, we have the DSP and DMP and the creative services. So that is our whole vision, that we are providing a very, very broad technology stack. When it comes to the sales funnel here, it's also been an ambition for us to be able to connect the user journey throughout the entire funnel here. So of course, in this part of the funnel where we have a strong retargeting proposition, we also have this part of the funnel which is mainly driven by our DMP. So everything related to interest targeting or targeting a specific demography audience is based on the segments we have in the DMP. And then you can say the upper funnel here, the awareness part of the funnel, is something we are adding right now with our automated guarantees. So that's very important for us, that we are able to provide a product where it's possible to basically follow the user throughout the entire funnel. So we are in an industry where there is a lot of innovation, right? But you can say there are also some really tough problems to solve. And of course, one of them is fraud. We started sort of combating fraud 1.5 years ago. So we have a scientist team who are building our fraud protection. It's called Bearskin. And this is something we are continuously improving, because this is very, very damaging to our industry, of course, that we have people who are frauding the entire industry. Brand safety is also something we consider. Guaranteed viewability is in many ways a very important topic when we speak to our clients, because of course, who wants to buy impressions that are not seen by anyone? So across our platform, we are building viewability capabilities. Cross-device, I think, is also one of the really difficult industry problems that we have today. Of course, we have companies like Facebook and Google who have all this natively, but for many platforms like Adforms and other DSPs, being able to target users cross-device is crucial to the future. So this is also an area where we support of first-party, second-party, third-party data, together with our data management platform, is also something that is very important, I think, to the future of programmatic, and also an area where we focus. Good. So let's take a look at the main trends in the area where I'm working. So I brought 3 trends here to talk about. So One of the main trends is, of course, 10-15 years ago, if we wanted to advertise for people, we just launched either a print ad or we did advertise on television. But of course, that is being changed totally today. So we have people, as you know, on mobile computers, desktop, TV, outdoor. And again, this basically means that many of our competitors and platforms that, as Adform, are building sort of cross-channel capabilities and cross-device capabilities. So this is an area where we are investing a lot to be able to provide a product where you guys can target people across all these channels and across all these devices. Another major theme in the industry is, of course, cross-device. Cross-device is table stakes, so I think any technology provider today need to have a cross-device strategy. Otherwise, they are not relevant. Again, we have companies in the industry that have this data at heart, but for companies like Adform, media agnostic company, we are basically today sort of relying on partners to help out building these cross-device solutions. So this is actually well on the way in our company, and we will be releasing very soon our cross-device solution, which basically means that we are able to connect users across different devices. Then the last major trend in our industry is that DSPs that I'm building are not longer just a buying system. I think all my competitors, and I've listed a few here, they are basically building a broader proposition. They are adding ad serving to their products, they are adding analytics, they are adding DMPs and all that stuff. And in many ways this is nice. This is very nice for Adform because we actually started building a DSP on top of our ad server. So I think that whole tendency here is very good news for me and also you, because we can provide it, of course. Good. Then one of the major trends this year, as we see it, has been automated guaranteed. If we look at the way that media is being traded today, of course we have all the reserved fixed price, which is more or less a manual process today. Then we have the DSPs, so buying inventory on a DSP is auction-based, or it's sort of a private marketplace. And then of course we have all the inventory that's bought via deals, which is again unreserved but at a fixed price. And I think what's been a little bit strange over the last 5 years is that in this area we have had massive investments and massive innovation. So for all the people who are working in trading desk and working with DSPs, I think a lot of the people here are happy because we have been able to provide very nice systems. But for all the people who are sitting with the traditional media plans and running IOs, and there hasn't been any innovation for like 4 years, not in my time at least, and I've been in the industry for 4.5 years. So in this area, there's been no new platforms, basically. So all the manual traded IOs is still a very, very manual process. So the good news is that last year, IAB announced Open Direct, which is basically a protocol to define how we can optimize all these working processes for trading manual IOs. And when we saw that coming out, we really felt that was perfect for Adform, because we want to be able to deliver a platform where you can buy on a DSP basis, but also help making good workflows for buying reserved IOs. So this is basically what we are building right now. We are building an integration into the ad servers directly from our buying platform. And that means that we can present all the publishers who are integrated in our platform, and it means that you don't have to take up the phone and call the publishers. You can simply click on the publisher here and start browsing their products. And once you have found the right publisher, and this is something we have released a first version, and right now we are onboarding a lot of publishers, so we are basically integrating all the publishers into our solution here, which then hopefully later this year will mean that it's possible to build a detailed plan without having to take the phone and call directly. Good. Then another important topic, as we see it, is data management platforms. So we strongly believe that that a lot of the sort of effect and ability to run really great campaigns lies in data management platforms. Our vision with data management platforms is that audience management has to be at the center of everything. So we have been building a DMP which is tightly connected with our ad server, it's tightly connected with our DSP, it's connected with our private marketplace, and with our programmatic publish ad server. And then you may ask, so why is this so important? Well, the challenge for many companies is that when you run advertising today, you do it across so many technologies and so many platforms. You run in-app, you run some advertising on-site, you have email campaigns, you have your CMS system, you might have a CRM system with offline data, you have analytics, attribution, etc. And the challenge moving forward is, of course, to be able to collect all this data in one place and activate it. So that is the main challenge that we think will become very, very important to be able to solve over the next few years. So personally, I believe that most of the innovation in our industry over the next year will not come in DSPs. I think DSPs will sort of be commoditized a little bit, while we will have a lot of innovation on the DMP side. So being able to basically collect all this data, understand the data, understand the users who are visiting or seeing the ads across all these platforms, and then activate it again, I believe that will be very important. So in our platform, we are able to support, of course, all these different types of data: first-party data, second-party data from publishers, third-party data which comes from some of the well-known data providers. And then, of course, what our focus in this product has been to make a nice way of making all this data actionable. So I've just shown an example here of how all this data is actionable in our DSP. So once you start collecting all this data, it's very easy to apply it as a targeting set in our DSP. Good. Timing-wise, we are fine. So the next topic here, again, just ask questions if you have anything. One of the, I think, challenges that really came up this year was fraud. We basically saw more fraud coming in. You can say, unfortunately, some of the exchanges we are working with are quite open, or were quite open. A year back, it was pretty easy to sign up a website and put it into an exchange and generate traffic, which is, I think, very bad to our industry, right? We, again, last year we started building a group to basically combat and protect buyers from fraud. So the typical fraud that we see is botnet, it's ad insertion, redirect, OS hacking. So these are the typical fraud types that we are protecting in our system. So what we do is that we basically have algorithms who are able to detect fraud. So we look at certain behaviors, and then we calculate domain list and IP ranges, and it allows us to basically apply that pre-bid, meaning that we do not buy any fraud. That is one element. The other, that is of course a functionality that sits in our DSP. Then the other part of this is basically post-filtering of fraud impressions in our ad server. So these are the two areas where fraud protection sits in our technology stack. So what is it we do? Well, we have continuous processes that are analyzing all the traffic we get in. So we look at click-through rates. So if we have very high click-through rates, spikes or stuff like that, that is something that we take into consideration. Time between impressions. So if we see anomalies in time between impressions, if we see really weird sessions, you can say strange behavior in mouse over time, or basic click coordinates on banners who are the same, then it goes into our algorithms and get blocked in pre-bid. Again, our algorithms are run daily, and again the output from these algorithms are put into our DSP platform and our ad server. Again, this is something that has a highest priority in our company, because it's really damaging to the whole industry, of course, to have fraud. And we have seen tendencies, of course, with our inventory partners. We saw at Nexus, who basically removed 70% of all their publishers. So it is quite annoying, for a tech company like us, that we have to use so many resources in this area, because it's actually coming from the fact that the big exchanges are not able to handle this problem well. But of course, we still have to invest in this. So the last thing I want to talk about is ad blocking. And I think, in addition to fraud, of course, ad blocking is a concern, at least at my table, but I think it is a concern in the industry. So I just took some numbers here. So we saw that globally, the increase of people using ad blockers was 41%. 16% of the US population, they are blocking ads. In Europe, this grew by 35%. We have Apple now launching an ad block in our iOS 9. So just in general, pretty concerning numbers, I would say. And this is something we have to do something about. So in general, and this is maybe a little banal, but of course our ads have to improve. We need to make sure that the ads we are doing are less intrusive. We have to make sure that we are relevant but without being creepy. So the way we look at this, what we can do as a tech provider is basically to provide sort of less intrusive formats. So this is our approach to ad blocking at this point, and I've just taken a few examples here of, I think, nice banner formats that can run also programmatic. So an example of a cube here, and then of course another I think hot topic this year is native, and I think many people in our industry believe that native can become part of the solution here. An example here of a native format which is nicely integrated and again less intrusive, so nicely integrated into the content. Another native example here is the contextual native takeover, where there is a sort of match between the content here and the ad. So this is a campaign we ran for British Airways, and we have an outstream video sitting here. So that's also a very nice, I think, example of a video format. And then the last example I want to show is microsites. So we are building more and more microsites. And building microsites is actually something we deliver from our brand solutions team. So we can help basically building all this, taking everything from idea to execution. So with ad blocking, unfortunately, there's no, I think there's no sort of quick fix. I think publishers also have to make changes on our side, on their side. But again, I said, building less intrusive, nicer looking formats is that is our approach to ad block. So before finalizing, I just want to go through a case, and I took this case because it's a very nice example of a client who are using many components in our stack. So it's a nice example of a client who are using our full stack. Basically, that is how we brand ourselves as a full stack. So this case is from the real estate business. So it's actually a Danish company. So it's one of the biggest real estate companies in the Nordics. In the Nordics, we have basically a booming real estate market at this point. And the thing is that real estate in Denmark, they have to basically improve sort of their business at this point, because there's so much competition across the real estate companies. So what is happening today is basically that real estate, if we look a few years back, it was mainly on print. So there is also a very interesting sort of disruptive change going on in the real estate, where they are going from print to online. And you can say that isn't that a little late? Yeah, maybe it is, but that is the situation. So if we look back just a few years, real estate companies didn't have any appearance on online. So basically, the objective for this company has been to basically get an online strategy. It's been a strategy for them to reuse all the data they have, because they have quite a lot of data on their website. So reuse all that, activate that, develop a mobile strategy, and then in general use retargeting strategies to get people back to the properties. So the solutions they're using in Adform is, of course, our retargeting solution. It is our dynamic product retargeting solution. It's our CPA, our acquisition optimization. They use our DMP. They use AdTruth for ID recognition on in-app. They use our rich media tools, and soon they will also be doing more on mobile. So if we just look at the numbers here, so these are numbers for Q3, and you can see last year they ran not an amazing high number, but just for comparison, 8 million impressions at a cost of 250,000 Danish kroner. So if we look now, 1 year after, we increased the cost by 4, so they increased the budgets, the media investment by 4. But if we look at the sales, we actually increased it by 54. And this was not simple at all. So I think, again, this has not been sort of an easy quick fix. This has been applying a lot of different elements to basically increasing the conversion. So just some of the stuff that was applied in this case. First of all, there was a lot of work on importing all the product data from EDC. They are now using our DCO solution. They're using our recommendation, so we have a nice recommendation engine in our DCO system. They have started using our CPC algorithms and our CPA algorithms, and now also enabling AdTruth. Good. So that was again an example I think the broadness in our stack. That was the last part, so I'm totally open to sharp questions.
¿Tenéis alguna pregunta? Os acerco el micrófono si queréis.
I was just interested to know a little bit more about the cross-device solutions or what's in the future for cross-device.
Yeah, so our approach to that is that first of all, in our DMP we are able to import a cross-device data set. So if, for example, you have a company who have a lot of login data, which basically people log in on a mobile device or desktop, then we are able to help that company connecting the logins across the cookies. And we can then upload that to the DMP, and then, as you saw, it can be applied in the DSP. So one approach is what we call a deterministic strategy here, and that is simply to take up a cross-device data set. And again, it's pretty straightforward and simple. So the other approach here is that there are companies like Screen 6 and Device 9 who are specialists in using statistical models to basically connect cookies. We decided not to start building our own cross-device probabilistic because we cannot do everything. So in terms of cross-device, we are basically relying on partners and then being able to upload cross-device data in our DMP. That's our approach.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Morning.
Morning.
I'd like to know what kind of format are you able to do to run on the connected TV?
I would say none. Yeah. And again, connected TV is not really an available channel for us today. So it's not because we are lazy or anything. It's just not available at this point. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong here, but that's how we see it.
Just because I saw on the presentation there on the slide, I see CTV, so I.
But we're connected.
That was connected.
We're connected to stick ads, no?
Yeah. That's why I was making the question.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, I think even in the US, this is very. It's not even happening in the US at this point. So there are nothing we can really integrate into at this point.
Okay. Thank you.
Bueno, tenemos soluciones, trabajamos con tecnologías de terceros y demás que nos permiten sincronizar, ¿vale? Desde nuestro DSP con compra en televisión, ¿vale? Eso sí lo podemos hacer. Y es bastante efectivo, lo hemos hecho con varias campañas aquí en España y bueno, se puede sincronizar en un plan de vídeos de televisión y demás y poder o contra la competencia o reforzando el plan de medios de televisión, etc.
But one question from my side is any opinions on ad blocking, because that is in some of the near markets where I'm working, that is something we are extremely concerned about, of course. But is there any opinion in the room about ad blocking? Is it becoming a problem in Spain, or what's the status here? Yeah?
Well, I think that in Spain is not a problem.
It's not a problem yet, yeah.
For the publishers. They are not thinking about the ad blocking right now.
Okay.
This program will be run very fast, I think.
Yeah.
So I read one article about Washington Post maybe that they detected to the users who has the ad blocker and they don't leave them to consume they are blocking, you don't read my content.
Yeah.
But in Spain, I think that this problem is not a real problem right now.
That's very good.
We are not in Axel Spring in Spain. We do have almost 30% of our blogger in, especially in the technology side.
Yeah.
And also the video game side. We do have almost 40% of bloggers. It's not the same for the automotive side. We do have Autobuild.es. So here is almost roughly 5%.
So what is your strategy to fix?
If you have run content,
Okay.
that is
Okay.
difficult to.
Yeah. I know that in Scandinavia, I mean, the strategy, or it seems because unfortunately publishers are not really going together, because I think if publishers in our near markets would go together, maybe there could be a solution to, for example, to paywalls or stuff like that. But at least we see more and more publishers, showing when people are using ad blocks that just, educating people that there are actually people sitting, journalists who needs a salary to create content, right? So that seems to be the strategy at this point, to basically educate users that content doesn't come out of nowhere, right? People are producing this, and please remove your ad blocks. So that seems to be the strategy in Northern Europe at this point. Yeah.
Hi, good morning. I don't know a lot about blockers, but I would like to know technically when a user has an ad blocker, is the impression served, or the blocker just stops impression, or just stops the view? It's like an impression without a view.
So the way the ad blocker works is that let's assume you have an ad unit here. So and in that ad unit there is a JavaScript which is giving us a signal. And basically what the ad blocker does is that tag is not even activated. So it means that we don't even get any signal. So we don't get any signal, and there's no impression. So you can say the problem is not that, I mean, as a buyer of inventory, it's not that you lose money. But the big problem is, of course, that we become unable to connect with our audience. Yeah.
Okay. Regarding the ad blocking, I think that today is not fully regulated at this point. I mean, this is my personal opinion. And in the same way that we have regulated the cookie privacy in the 2013, I think we should make the same thing. And I'm talking about the publisher side and SSP. So going more in depth in this point, one of the solutions would be to sit around with publishers and SSP and DSP together, and create a sort of I give my okay to accept advertising inside of the inside the publishers. So I think this is one of the ways we can have a workaround to solve the problems in the front of looking the face the ad blocking. So otherwise it will be very, very, very hard. So I see that even if Spain is not worried at the moment, I'm thinking about more globally, Spain will be affected not more than the second quarter of 2016. So 2016, I think that will be a very strong crash if there is no solution in front of the ad blocking. So this is my opinion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
¿Alguna pregunta más?
vamos a... ¿Sí?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
You speak about the third-party data, the
Yeah.
importance of the third-party data, but everybody knows that third-party data in Spain is not working as we thought. And in Adform, which is the solution for you and for the future? What do you think about?
Yeah, so about third-party data, I mean, we are in an industry where you could say the use of third-party data is still very new. We also have a pretty open system for third-party data, so it means that there are really not any standards today measuring sort of the effect and quality of third-party data. So I think that whole compliance layer of third-party data is missing, and of course that has to come in to third-party data, you know, in terms of maturing third-party data. So in many ways, I'm just saying that whole industry is still a bit immature, but I still think it can be valuable, right? Because you have actually the tools to try it out and see whether it works. So I think in many ways you are still in sort of safe hands. You can test it out and see if it has a positive effect on your campaigns. So that's one element. Again, you know, evaluation of third-party data, which we don't have today. So I don't think there are any providers today that allows us to provide validation of third-party data. Then the other element is pricing. So I still maybe think that the pricing of third-party data today is a little bit off. Because of course if the price is fair enough, then you will probably gain an uplift on your campaigns. I would say that in Northern Europe we have a few data providers who are quite successful, but they have been in the market for now 3 years, and they are very active in explaining, being transparent about the accuracy and how they do things. Yeah. So basically pricing, I guess, is the other part of this.